My name is Matt Vega. This is Kenny Wilson, and this is the BJJ Balance podcast.
What's up?
What's up, man? Episode 3. I kind of wanted to get in today because the philosophies of guys on how they roll per how big they are or how smart they are. So, I want to see, I'll tell you 4 things that big guys in general do not like or what happened in jiu-jitsu class.
Okay.
And we've kind of wrote them down here. 4 things that, little guys don't like about jiu-jitsu class, because I'm sure they're different. And it doesn't mean a little guy doesn't like what big guys do. I mean, it could be. I don't like when a big guy freaking just smashes the shit out of me. But, you know what I mean? I want to know, certain things that little guys don't like compared to what big guys don't like. And then we got some other stuff we can talk about. But I'm going to start first for the big guys, as the big guy representative on the show. Cardio. Number 1, cardio. Big guys don't like cardio. We don't like it. We don't like cardio. So you're going to see us walk in a little late, right? We're going to walk in class has already started. They're running. Hey.
Gotta put my gi on.
Traffic. Yeah. We're in the fucking traffic, dude. We fucking drove slow on purpose. You know what I mean? Come on, dude. Hey, you guys are front rolling? Oh, hey, hold on. Let me tell my belt.
Did you check your watch at the parking lot and see that it was 6:02 and it's I'm going to sit here and I'm going to let the song finish.
Right, 100%. Or, sorry, coach. Yeah, okay. Or you'll be running around the mat and got to retie my belt. My belt came loose. Just so you don't have to do the front rolls or the back rolls. Cardio is probably my number 1 on things that big guys don't like. We just want to get there. We want the meat and potatoes. We want to smash. We want to roll. And you know what I mean? And just get the technique. This up, down, burpees, front rolls, jumping, fucking sprawls, that shit. We should be good at cardio, bigs. Okay? Here it is. We should show up on time. It's only going to help your game having good cardio. So we should do warm-ups. We shouldn't be lazy. But that is my number 1 for things that big guys don't like.
My number 1 is actually not far off from that. It's core workouts. It's not fucking ab day. I didn't come here.
It ain't been ab day. It ain't been ab day for a minute. And if you've seen the last clips, my wife said, hey, we fixed the camera angle, dude. The ab day went away a while ago, on which I need to get better at.
So I actually, the gym that I'm at is pretty. I haven't been to Checkmate in a while, Murrieta in a while, and I remember Hendo's. There were being some running and but I don't really remember down the mat rolls or anything like that. I don't remember forward rolls, backward rolls, or anything like that. We do all that at our gym. At another gym in the area I went to, I won't say names because I don't want them to be offended by this if they are. But I remember their warm-ups were 30 minutes long, and it wasn't just running. It was legit, get with a partner. They're going to put their hands under you. You're doing leg lifts, 50 leg lifts. You're doing 50 push-ups.
It's always
crunches.
It's always the little black belts that do that, dude.
Yeah, and I'm like, dude, what in the fuck did I didn't come for a CrossFit class.
and I don't know if this is true, but whenever I throw warm-ups at somebody, I'm like, hey, I want to warm up, put the warm up a little bit. There's this guy, he's big, he's played for the football, and he's the size of a house. He's 6'6", 380 pounds, jacked and athletic, and he can run faster than you. And I'm like, oh, well, as a big, I feel it's my duty to roll with the bigs.
Right.
I can't be I don't want to roll with the big guy. All the little guys roll with me, and they don't want to. It's my job. All the little guys are looking at me you got that guy, right?
Right.
So it's my job. It's my job as the certified big. I got to roll with this guy. So if I'm teaching the class, I'm like, hey, we're going to do some warm-ups. I got to get this guy tired, dude. And as the black belt, I'm like, hey, I'm going to get you tired. And then when we roll, I didn't have to do the warm-up. Uh-oh. As we get you tired, that's the one perk a black belt has. So I think a lot of these little guys that do these crazy warm-ups in jiu-jitsu, and this is probably not true, but this is probably because they just have awesome cardio and are great jiu-jitsu guys. And I know that's the truth, but I'm just talking shit. I think they want you to, they won't make the crazy warm-ups because they're like, hey, we're going to get these big guys tired.
So I've heard the reasoning behind some of the intense warm-ups is to wear you down so that you're focusing on technique and not strength.
Yeah,
But I think there's like a point of diminishing return on that as well. Now I'm disgruntled. I'm not focused on technique because I'm so disgruntled about the fact that you made me do 75 crunches and fucking 45 burpees.
And you got that new white belt that just came in, and these guys blowing chunks.
Yeah.
In the warm-ups, we're just doing front rolls. You know what I mean? And like he didn't even learn jiu-jitsu, and he's done.
Yeah. I still get dizzy with backwards.
Me too.
rolls.
Me too.
Yeah.
That never goes away. I don't know what that's about.
Yeah.
But I mean, I do a lot of back rolls in jiu-jitsu when I'm rolling.
Do you?
Yeah.
Huh.
And your back rolls, ankle picks, and stuff like that. Like,
Oh, good point.
it's all there. Like, so someone like double underhooks your legs and rolls you. Like,
Right.
You get that. So the moves are efficient and they are warranted. But man, sometimes a 30-minute warm-ups can really, really, really take its toll.
Yeah. I agree
What
with
I
that.
got for number 2 here. Number 2, starting from your knees. Okay. As a big guy, okay, if you want to start from your knees, and I can say, hey, everybody should be starting standing, first of all. If the class is big, then I understand, hey, we don't want people to land on each other. Start from your knees. It's a safety issue. And I totally get that. But if it's not, you should be starting standing. That is the way people fight. You're not going to get in a fight at Walmart and be like, hey, man, come down. Starting, you know what I mean? That's not going to happen. So you should start from your standing, right? I've said this in a video before. The only one starting from your knees is your ex-girlfriend. We need to stand and we need to battle, right? So I think that is important to stand.
I agree.
But if the guy wants to start from the knees, fine.
Maybe it's an injury thing.
That's
Maybe
fine.
Yeah.
And that's fine. And so the big guy goes down. You're both starting from your knees. But this is what I don't like. I don't like the little guy that jumps up to his feet. We both agree to start on our knees, and this little jumps up on his feet and then buries the big guy down on his back.
Yeah. I've seen that happen.
Hey, man.
Yeah.
It's like saying we playing 2-hand touch, right? Yeah.
Right.
And then the guy just tackles. Like, that's that.
He fucking takes your knees out.
I can't get with that. Like, if you agree to starting with the knees, someone needs to pull guard.
Yeah.
And you know it ain't going to be the big.
No.
He's not, because he don't like playing guard. So even though you start on your knees, you need to pull guard. The jumping up to your feet. So if that happens to you, Biggs, and the guy jumps up to your feet and keeps burying you, and I know some of you out there that happens to you. And this guy, every time I start with this guy, he jumps up to his feet and buries me down in the side control. Jump up to your feet too, bro.
Right.
And be like, now we're standing, motherfucker.
Watch you do that, and him go, hey, I thought we were starting
I
underneath.
was like, okay, we'll get back down then. Why are you standing, Doc? Like, that's my number 2.
I'm just mirroring your energy.
Exactly.
I would say my number 2 for small to medium guys, the gym bro roll. Kind of mentioned this in the last pod where maybe they're newer. Usually they're newer. I think more experienced belts are pretty good at mitigating and focusing on technique. But the guy that's trying to the guy that did CrossFit for 5 years and now he shows up to jiu-jitsu and he's super strong, but he wants to rip your fucking arms off because he thinks that that's a thing. And I think it's just an injury thing. Maybe if I was 25, I wouldn't care so much, but I'm 40.
Nobody wants to get hurt. Everybody wants to get home to their families.
Yeah.
Like you're here, you're trying to get better as a martial artist. You're trying to get better as somebody who you want to learn how to protect yourself. And it's good to feel those gym bros every once in a while, but you don't, like control it.
Right.
And some of these guys just don't know how to do that yet.
Well, it's not like I'm going to muscle the technique to get it. It's I'm going to scramble sporadically and knee you in the fucking face kind of a thing where I'm just like,
I was the mayor of Spazzy White Belt Island. Like that was me, dude. Like, ding, 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 that was me. Matt, here he is. Like, dude, I had so many people not want to roll with me. I was, back when I was in my 20s, it was all about lifting weights. And I was just like, just all power, no technique. And my philosophy as that white belt was like, I'm not good enough to flow. I don't want to lose.
right.
But you should, if you are that guy and people are like scared to roll with you, you should like reassess and be like, hey, maybe I need to like think differently on what I'm doing.
I think that's where the what you had mentioned in the last pod, adopting a white belt.
Yeah. And that's your professor's job.
Yeah.
It's your professor's job to let say who's rolling with who. Okay, it's your professor. Like, hey, if I see a guy who I know is a freaking built like a brick shit house, and he's green as goose shit, and you don't know what he's doing, and I know he's gonna go crazy, I'm not gonna put him with a 55-year-old dude,
Right.
who's just like 170 pounds.
Right.
I'm like, or I'll if that's the only matchup that's left, I'll be like, listen, I'll go to the guys like, hey, take it easy, okay? Like, just because his belt's darker than you,
Right.
doesn't give you a right to be D1 explosive on his ass.
Right.
Because a belt is just a color. We talked about genetics in the last one. A belt is just a color. Take it easy, man. Like,
everybody's at the gym for a different thing too. Some guys are there for some self-defense. Some guys are there just to work out. Some guys are there
just to check in.
Yeah. Some guys are there just to learn the sport. You know what I mean? Like, they don't even look at it as a self-defense thing. You know what I mean? They look at it as like, scoring points, playing a game.
Right.
And some guys are there to, murder everybody.
Yeah. I mean, that was me at white belt. I was there to get it. And I learned the hard way, I had some embarrassing moments as a white belt. Joe Assis, okay? Here's my most embarrassing moment in my jiu-jitsu life, okay? As a white belt. Joe Assis, ADCC world champ. He's done it all. He's awesome. And he was a black belt at the time. I was a white belt, like just starting. I roll with him, and he beat me. Duh. That was
right.
And I, out of anger, slammed my hand on the mat and said a expletive. Boom. Like, fuck, yeah, boom. And he looked at me like the disrespect.
Right.
Like I had a shot.
Right.
I was mad.
He's like, you got 30%.
He's like, I wasn't doing nothing, right? And the disrespect for me to do that was like so dumb.
Yeah.
And looking back at it now, I'm like, dude, I was like an idiot at a white belt.
Yeah.
But no one adopted me, man.
Was that
who told me? No one brought me aside like, hey, man.
Was that in a jiu-jitsu school, or was that in like an MMA? Like, sometimes I feel like MMA programs at a jiu-jitsu gym and MMA or jiu-jitsu programs at an MMA gym and jiu-jitsu in a strictly jiu-jitsu gym.
This was at a pure jiu-jitsu school.
Oh, wow.
But, I had been in MMA in the early to like mid 2000s. The problem with jiu-jitsu was like, you start off jiu-jitsu, the next thing you know, some dude's taking a cage fight, and the next thing you know, you have a Thai class, and the next thing you know, the whole team isn't even jiu-jitsu anymore. It's an MMA team. Right. That's happened to like 3 teams that I was on.
Oh, really?
When I first started in the early 2000s, I'm like, gee, we're fighting now? All right. Everybody had their tap out gear, and everybody was, affliction shirts, and everybody's ready to go, dude. But I think that gym bro thing, like the black belt or the instructor in that academy needs to be like mindful of like who the big dudes are and put them like, you never put a big dude with a female. Right. Even though this big guy might not even hurt this female. We're not even going to play that game.
Right.
Not on my shift. I don't want a big guy to hurt a female. And then I'm getting called by Poncho. Like, hey, what happened? Why is she have a broken arm? Nah, not my shift. Like, no, we're going to be mindful who you set your opponents up with. So I think that's a good number 2 for you. Let's see. Number 3 for me. Nobody picks the big guy. Okay. Nobody picks us. We are the biggest guys in the room, and we can't find any smoke. And because no one wants to roll the big guy because it sucks. Right. And I get it. And I get why. And because he didn't do cardio in the beginning because he came in late, and he's, you know what I mean? Like, he's fresh. He got no,
It's weird how he circles right back to number 1.
He was taping his fingers all slow and shit. And now,
that one's messed up. I got to redo it again.
And now he didn't come. So now we're going to roll, and I'm tired because I just did 28 burpees, and now we're going to roll, and he's going to lay on me the whole time. I get it. No one's going to pick, but pick the big guy. And big guys, you got to realize nobody's going to pick you. So if you don't say, hey, me and you, hey, me and you, like, you got to find your smoke because they ain't going to find you.
I think it's as a not big guy, I would say it's important to go with you guys too. Sometimes you'll be unexpectedly surprised at how well the technique actually works against some of the big guys.
Exactly. Yep.
And I think it's important to go with these different body types because if you're in a street fight, you know, and the guy's 30, 40 pounds or, you know, multiple inches taller than you, can't be like, hey, dude, you outweigh me. This isn't fair. Like, yeah, I understand you're mad, but nah.
There's no weight classes outside Applebee's. You know what I mean? Like, there's no weight classes. Yeah, like I think like it's good to roll with bigger guys. I think it's good to feel that, and I just think it's also good for the big guys to be mindful. Be mindful of your smaller opponents and maybe pull guard, beat them the first time, then pull guard the second time. Yeah, we hate that. Like we're just like standing there, like the John Travolta meme. Like who's gonna pick us? And no one's gonna pick us.
Right.
But it's your job to find your smoke. But big guys hate that.
My third would the exact opposite of my number 2. Rolling with the small girl, just because it's like as a guy, it's already kind of awkward because it's a woman and you're essentially in cuddle pajamas and
yeah, it's weird. Rolling with females can be awkward.
Yeah, and especially like as a married dude, you know.
Yeah, it can be awkward.
And then the smaller the girl, you're intentionally trying not to muscle, you know, and just use technique. But at some point in time, like they're so small.
Finish the job. Something like, I got to take your arm. Something like that.
Yeah. They're so. It's just like they'll grab something. You're just like, I'm lifting your entire body in the air right now. Like it can be.
But you got to also think it's good for them.
Right.
It's good. They need to feel the big guy. And even though we're only given 10, 20%,
right,
they need to feel like
you're almost being like a sacrificial training partner because you're not really going to get anything out of yourself out of that. You know what I mean? Like
it's for her.
Yeah. It's like put a little bit of a fight up. Don't be a dick. You gotta look at it from a different perspective.
Yeah, my wife's completely cool with me rolling chicks. There's never been an issue there from that standpoint because I'm not. You don't think that,
right?
I'm not thinking I've never thought anything like that.
No,
like I'm just rolling. You know what I mean? Like
right.
But no, I can see how rolling with the female definitely is it's different, and it's different for girls. Girls need to realize that jiu-jitsu is not going to work the same way it works for guys. If you're rolling with, I've had what was she, a purple belt? Yeah, she was a blue belt. A blue belt come up to me, and she rolled with this guy, brown belt. Didn't get subbed. They were growing pretty good, same weight, going pretty hard.
Okay.
She comes sits down next to me on the wall, probably because no one picked me. But she came and sit down next to me on the wall, and she was like, kind of down on herself. And I was like, "What's going on?" She's all, I just okay, never mind. She was a blue belt. He was a white belt.
Got it.
Okay, okay. And she said, I just couldn't get my stuff. Like she couldn't get her submissions and whatever. And I'm like, listen. I was like, I had to tell her, I was like, you're 140 pounds. I was like, he's like 215 pounds, and you just roll with this guy and held your own, and he didn't submit you,
right?
And it was a competitive round,
right?
And you're like in the fight,
right?
Like that is jiu-jitsu.
And that's a simulation of like real life. You know what I mean?
You lived.
Right.
You don't have to sub them.
Right.
You just got to overhook and hold on and scream for help.
Right.
Get away when you can.
Right. Run.
I think sometimes the perspective, even for females, gets a little like you want to I'm a blue belt, I'm a white belt, I should sub this guy. No. It's different.
Right.
It's different. So
I would say that even for just a small guy.
A small guy too. Yeah. Exactly. 100%.
Yeah.
Like we talked on the last episode, I think, about the weights and the belt difference from
right.
weights. Same thing. Yeah. I think a small guy should realize that, like, hey, I'm probably not going to triangle this guy.
Right.
You should never, hey, little guys, don't shoot triangles on big guys. We want that. We're waiting for that.
I'm going to stack you and shake you.
We want to stack and shake and get the side.
Yeah.
Shake and bake, baby. Yeah. Don't triangle
and then I'm gonna cook you extra long and make you pay for it.
Yeah. Do not. PSA. Don't shoot triangles on big guys.
You've been warned.
Yeah. Unless you're taller than him, then maybe you can pull it off. Did you go or did I go?
I went.
Okay. Number 4 for me, and finally, give us credit. Give a big guy credit for when he does beat you. Because it sucks. It sucks being a big guy and go, man, you're so strong. Like, man, you just beat me. Like, man, you're just too big. Like, right. That may be true, okay? It may be true. We maybe have beat you, may have muscled it. but we still subbed you. Okay. Like you still did something wrong to allow that to happen.
Right.
So just realize like, hey, yeah, you sub, give our technique some credit. And big guys, maybe pull guard, then sweep, then smash, then sub. To prove them like, hey man, I was on my back first and then I swept you. So there was no muscle there. But the lack of credit, because we don't give little guys credit for like, we don't get to be like, man, you just got too much cardio. You know what I mean? You're just too fast. We don't do that.
No, but they'll throw it in your face the second they sweep you because they're smaller. You know what I mean? Like, oh, see, you know, you're 40 pounds heavier than me. And I'm
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
They took the
credit. There's a lot of pressure on a big guy rolling with a little guy.
Right.
It's especially like in a tournament environment, rolling with a little guy can like really like be like the open class.
Right.
Like open, all weights. Like the more pressure on the big guy than a little guy. You think that's not. The little guy's playing house money.
Right.
The big guy's like, if I beat this little guy,
there's no glory.
No one's going to say nothing.
Right.
I just did it.
It would be expected.
If he sweeps me, I'm the #1 clip on every BJJ site. Like they're highly, no matter what belt you are. And you know what the hashtag is? Jiu-jitsu, because jiu-jitsu or jiu-jitsu works. Or Oast Nation BJJ. It's something you're going famous, dude. Because there's pressures on the big guy. So give the big guy credit, man. We're in here. We're out here. We may be late to warm-ups. You know what I mean? But we're out here trying to sweat.
I'm in kind of a funky weight class because I feel like at your size, most guys are going to be pretty tall and roughly around your weight. At my weight, so I compete at anywhere, sometimes a 208 class, sometimes a 220 class. And there's guys that are 220 that are my size. And then there's guys that are 220 that are like 5 inches shorter and like bigger, you know? And so they're like completely opposite body types, you know? So it's like you might get a guy that's, I don't know, because I'm also master 2. So it's like he's 40, he's 5'8", and he weighs 220, and he's probably not shredded. So that guy's probably going to be a little easier for me versus sometimes I'll get the guy that's 220, he's 6'2", and he's built like a brick shit house. And
you always get that guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, how come I can never get this guy? Why am I always getting this guy?
The last tournament I was in, it was the class was split. It was like half guys kind of like my body type and half guys that were smaller. And all of my rounds were guys my size. And I was seeing the other ones. I was all like, okay, if this guy wins here, like I might go against him. And I'm like watching him, like, okay, I can pull this on him. Didn't even see that guy.
The guy you always think is in your weight class.
Yeah.
Or is like, oh, you see him walking around. Like, damn, that guy's jacked. If your guy looks buff in his gi, he's pretty fucking jacked. You're like, oh man, he's speaking Portuguese. What the? Like, you know what I mean? Like what the, you know, like you're like, what? You know? That guy is never in your weight class. He's always somewhere else. Like the guy you think is in your division is never in your division. So when you're in the bullpen, just close your eyes, focus on yourself, get your mind right, hang out with your coach, and just get after it because you're hyping yourself up, you're psyching yourself up. Like John Jones says, get the butterflies aligned.
Right.
Like everybody's got them. Get yours lined up for battle and just fucking go.
My first comp was a no-gi sub only, and the weight classes was 190 and below, and like it was like 190 to 170 or something like that, and it was 191 to infinity. My third match was 6'4", 270 pounds, shredded, and I'm 5'11", so this guy's 5 inches taller than me. I just remember looking up at him, going like, "Jesus fucking Christ, here we go." And I shot a double on him. I'm like, I'm going for the glory here. And
I have had some experiences similar. I went with a guy who was like probably 500 pounds, sloppy big, like sumo, and like it was the funniest looking thing ever. I'll show you a picture later. And then I also went with a guy who was like the size of a door jam, just giant.
Shit.
And like the 2000, I was white belt. This is me, Spazzy Matt. This is 2012 pants. And I went with them, and I had my ex-girlfriend there at the time, and I had like all these legends like coaching me, like Carlson Gracie himself was coaching me at the time.
Wow.
And we were like sitting there, and Carlson Gracie Jr. rather, and I'm beating this guy. I'm actually winning. And this is like, you know, for gold. I can think this was for gold, right? This was for, no. Yeah, this was for gold. This one was for gold, white belt, pants. And I'm beating him and I'm up. And all of a sudden he gets a choke in on me from the standing position, cross choke. Oof. And I'm like, because he's so big. And I'm like, what the heck? And I don't know what to do. So I jump guard and I pull him down and he's still got the choke on me. And you're not supposed to choke someone from in close guard, but I can't even close my feet on this guy. I couldn't even he's like touching my toes.
Oh, wow.
And like, I just hear my ex at the time, you got it, Matt. I'm just like, you got it. Closing in. And I'm making noises I'm making like noises. And I'm like, well, if I'm making noises, little air's coming in. I hear 30 seconds left. I'm like, I can hold this for 30 seconds. I'm winning. And next thing you know, I'm walking. And I look over at my friends. I'm like, did I win? And they're like, no, dude, you got put to sleep. So if you ever ask, did I win? You didn't win. If you ever have to ask if you won, you didn't win. I got put to sleep.
The answer
at white belt, got put to sleep at pants. Wild times. And that girlfriend's not my girlfriend anymore. And the moral of the story is, don't take your chicks to jiu-jitsu matches. No one wants to fall in front of their female.
No. Have them far enough away too that you can't hear them.
Unless they're in the sport, then good for you. If you can get a chick that can train, good for you. But like I said, I can't even get my sit in pockets before. I can't even get my wife to take a dirty picture in a gi, let alone train.
Yeah.
So like, if you can get that and you can have that relationship, we train together. I'm like, that's freaking awesome. Like,
right.
That ain't happening in the Vega house.
No.
Not even close. So, yeah, if you can get that, good for you. But like, don't bring them. If you don't have that, like most of us don't bring them. I suggest don't bring them to training or to your tournaments because it just adds pressure to you. You bring mama, papa, fucking brother, sister. They all want to watch you, especially the white belts.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I'm doing a tournament. And everybody's like, oh, they don't know what they want to go watch. And then they bring me, and then you have all this pressure on yourself. Yeah. Why not just go with the squad you lose with every weekday night? And they've seen you lose a bunch. And your professor's not going to be mad if you lose. Some people get mad because they think, oh, I'm going to let him down. You're not going to let him down. He's just happy you're doing it.
Right.
You know? So, like, just go by yourself, lose with the guys you always lose with, and have fun. Tom DeBlas said a couple of days ago that people get so hyped up on winning and losing, and they just, that's what the nerves is. Just go out there and get after it. You won. You're doing it. It's just an open mat on the bigger stage.
Right.
If you do that, you'll win.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think going to open mats like consistently could prepare you for tournament wise?
I think so. Yeah, for sure. Especially if you're doing standing up from the feet, because you're seeing different guys. You're going to different open mats and seeing different opponents.
Right.
A, you might see somebody in your weight class. And B, you're getting different smoke from different guys that are more comp rounds because you're going to roll with a stranger harder than you are going to roll with a buddy.
Right. Yeah. That's fair.
Now, what about your kids? Putting them in jiu-jitsu.
My kid's in jiu-jitsu. I try to get my oldest daughter, she's 21. She just hit me up last week and we were talking about jiu-jitsu. She was asking me how it was going and said that she had an interest in it. But she lives in Colorado, so she can't train with me. But it's I have thought like maybe I'll, but at the same time, like when you're a dad and you've got older kids, like you're not cool. You know, I'm not cool with my kids. So I'm like, hey, do jiu-jitsu. She's like,
pajama stuff.
Yeah, but she's like, she wanted to try in martial arts. So I was my suggestion was, hey, like you should do it with your boyfriend. Like if you're interested in doing it, he's probably interested in doing it and didn't want to say anything. Yeah. So that would be rad if and then you've got a training partner.
Yeah, and in that case, there's an accountability partner to get the class.
But my youngest kid, she's 5, and she started at 4, and we wanted to put her in something. We were afraid jiu-jitsu was going to be a little complicated for a 4-year-old, you know, to kind of grasp it. And so we thought like maybe karate or something like that for a couple of years. And she wanted to try jiu-jitsu because Jason, my coach, he's Uncle Jay to her.
And he's freaking awesome with kids.
Yeah. And he is. So we took her. She just, the fact that she had a gi on, it looked like dad. She was all about it. And the same thing with Zach. She absolutely adores Zach. So they're so good with kids, and they've really kind of developed that children's program, you know, where they're teaching them these games that like are related to jiu-jitsu movement. So they're like learning jiu-jitsu in a fun way, but then like it's practical for their mindset. And then all of a sudden, like as they get older and they start to learn things, oh, I did this game and this, I learned this move and that applies to jiu-jitsu and it makes sense. So he's, I've seen a couple of kids go from like the toddler class, the 4-year-old, pre-K class up to the 6 and up or 7 and up class that he has. And they go in there with a pretty good base.
Right.
You know what I mean?
My son's going to get in right away. When he starts, like, I know he's going to go through a phase where he thinks he's a dinosaur. But once he gets out of that, like I'm a whatever, and he's like, I'm going to put him in as soon as he's eligible, 5 years old, 6 years old. Now, my daughter, we've held her out of it for a while, even though she does want to do it.
Right.
I've held her out for the reason that, my wife is like not a proponent of jiu-jitsu, even though she knows it's beneficial. And
Right.
it's like my daughter's getting a blue belt. So whether it's starting at 8 and then going through the junior belts, or 7 and going through the junior belts and then a blue belt, or starting later at like 12, 13,
Right.
14, 15, get a blue belt. Like that, she's going to do that. So she just got to pick when, because I want her to be able to defend herself. But my wife, I know, if I only have like a 3-year window, because as soon as my daughter says, oh, I don't want to do jiu-jitsu no more,
Right.
then my wife's like, okay, well, now she's going horseback riding. Like, it's over.
Right.
And like, if I only have a 3-year window,
Right.
I don't want to waste that doing the games and I want her to retain more.
Yeah.
And so I feel like for that situation of my personal situation, I need to hold her just a little bit longer. And plus, she wants it so bad
Right.
now that like when I do let her go, she's gonna go.
Right.
And so like she's like, when can I do it? When can I do it? And I'm like, hold on, hold. I'm like William Wallace, hold. Like, and then I'm gonna let her go. But like, my son, has no choice. He's gonna start rolling right away.
My kid, she'll go through phases where, she'll go to class and she won't be paying attention and stuff like that. And like, we'll talk to her after class. Fortunately, even though my wife has no desire to do jiu-jitsu, she's very supportive of my kid doing it and wants her there. And it sits through all the practices. And she's like the good mom, she's quiet. She lets coach. And she, but she's there if, the kid gets hurt or she wants to come off the mat and, or she doesn't want to pay attention. Like my wife will be like, hey, pay attention kind of thing. But if there's a class where she isn't feeling it, like we'll come home, we'll have the talk. Like, hey, do you still want to do jiu-jitsu? Like you weren't really paying attention today. Like, is this something you want to keep doing? And it's never been no. Like it's always just like almost like a reset. Like, okay, yeah, I understand that I kind of messed off. Let me fix that. She's only 5 and she gets it.
It's good to have your kids do tough stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, she got a bloody lip, or she got a bloody nose. Like,
right.
It's good for her to be like, hey, wipe it off. You're good. Go back out there. I don't think kids get that nowadays.
No. I think sports are great for kids in that aspect, but not every sport's for every kid. We talked about this kind of, I think, in the first pod. Like I was never a fan of team sports. I played baseball in like 4th through 6th grade and was all about little league and whatnot. But I had like an asshole coach, and I wasn't ready for it. I didn't have the mindset to deal with an asshole coach. Now I see how that's like essential.
It can be, yeah.
In some sports.
I don't want to be so like. I believe in like a 24-hour rule. So if my kid's competing, or in any sport, if they're doing something and I feel like they didn't, I'm never going to like right after the game tell them what I think they did wrong, why I think they did it wrong. I'm just happy that they had fun or whatever. Like that's
right.
But I believe in like a 24-hour rule. The next day, like you should never talk about the game or whatever, I believe, like on the way home. You should just have fun, like it's over. And then the next day, like I was saying, like, hey, so like, what do you think about yesterday? What do you think you could have done better?
Right.
Like, because if you're angry as a parent, that energy is just not going to be there.
They'll
Whether
feed
it's
off.
like, oh, I stunk at baseball today, and you're just like, I can't believe you just were lazy out there. No, we're not
Right.
doing any of that. Like,
Right.
I'm going to give it 24 hours for both sides to cool off. And then, the next day, hey, what do you think you could have done better? Do you think you played hard? Like, I think being more supportive as a parent is better than being, an absolute like dictator and like angry parent. Like, there's nothing worse than having your parents disappointed in you. And like, that's like something that like can like totally turn them off on the sport.
Oh yeah. Yeah. the asshole coach kind of did turn me off from baseball. That's kind of why I stopped playing after the 3rd season.
It's like, I don't need this shit.
Right. And my mom was, at the time, she was single mom, so she didn't get to make it to all the games and whatnot. So it's like I didn't even have anybody like family wise to share it with when we did well and things like that. So it was kind of like there was no good. It was all bad. There was no praise from my parents, and the coach was never, it wasn't about praising. It was just about shitting on kids. So, but I had in wrestling, I had a really aggressive coach, but I also had my stepdad there who wrestled and had coached wrestling in the past and whatnot. And he knew how to talk to me, like kind of what you said with the 24-hour rule. It wasn't 24 hours, but he knew how to kind of break it down to where like the asshole coach didn't seem like such an asshole.
Right.
And also that asshole coach, like when I did something well, like when I was just drilling, because wrestling's all about drilling, all about the grind. And finally, when things started to click, he would always pick who you were gonna wrestle with in practice and whatnot. And you kind of tell like who his favorites were, and he kind of started to move you up as you started to progress. And so when you see that, it was like you felt good about it.
There's no need to like, your kid's already feeling bad because he had a bad day or a bad game or whatever. You know what I mean? Some kids especially in jiu-jitsu, one kid's going to lose.
Right. It's heartbreaking to see some of the kids' tournament pictures that get posted.
The one's crying and the other one's happy. Like, that's it, man.
Oh, man.
And it's always the girls winning.
Yeah.
Because they mature faster than the boys. And these boys are like, I can't believe I let a girl beat me.
Yeah.
Like, and as the dad or the coach, you got to be able to like, listen, son, like, I'm happy that you just did it.
Right.
Like, it's all good, man. Like,
right.
This is the game. You haven't had no testosterone in your body yet.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing in there.
There's not a whole lot separating you two right now.
Yeah, no, you're the same. They're just actually taller than you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like, you're good. So I think give it time, 24-hour break, and then assess the next day and be like, hey, let's work on, like, why not tell your kid, instead of yelling at your kid, like, you did this wrong, you were lazy, you didn't train hard this week, this is why this happened. Nah.
Right.
Why don't you say, hey, I think we need to work on this because I don't, like, let's work on this so that won't happen to you again. And then that will help talk to him better.
Right. Right. I think what's kind of neat about doing, any sort of a martial art where there's like a ranking, a progression system and whatnot. If you're a parent and you're established in that sport and you're a higher ranked belt and you have a child that's interested in it, like that kid is going to respect that, even like, let's say not on a dad level, but like I live with a black belt. You know what I mean? Like I can go talk to this black belt about like if they're really into jiu-jitsu,
right? And
they can walk me through this move. Like they've got
the knowledge is there,
right?
Which is cool. But in my opinion, my personal opinion, I don't think I try to show my kid a move and she'll be like, "I know it, Dad." And like, all right, like I don't want it. Like I don't think I'll be able to teach her.
Really?
I think I have to have another guy teach her. She'll listen more when like another black belt's teaching her, not me, because she's got it all figured out for me. She got the world figured out. She knows what she's doing.
I'm fortunate that we have Zach, that my kid is really close with and whatnot. So she loves going. She does privates with Coach Zach, and she understands, like at the gym it's Coach Zach. Outside of the gym it's just Zach. At the gym it's Coach Jay. Outside of the gym it's Uncle Jay. Mm-hmm. Like she definitely having somebody that's close with the family, but also not me directly. Like she will go to them and whatnot. But I think I'm hoping that as she gets older, if it's something that she sticks with, and God, I hope it is something that she sticks with, for the long run, then I think it'd be neat. Like, I'm hopefully by the time she's 12 or 13 or whatever, I'm close to a black belt.
You'll be there. I mean, they just got to keep going. Just don't quit. That's what they say. And that's true. Just don't quit. You'll get there. Even though my daughter's not in jiu-jitsu yet, she's definitely watching, like at open mats and stuff, because I saw her wrestling with her cousins and stuff, and all of a sudden, she just took the back. I'm like, she got it, dude. Hooks her in, dude. Like, feet might be crossed, but like she's jumping the back. Yeah. Like she's seeing stuff, like, so like, it's all good, man. I think, nothing like being a dad, but it's also have nerves with my kids training. I'm also kind of nervous. Like, I don't know if I'm ready. Like, I'm ready, but I don't like watching her get smashed
Right.
and having a rough day. It's like my whole life is like, I got to protect her. But being able to protect your daughter is by letting her free and letting her get beat in class is like, it's going to be a wall that I have to jump.
Right.
'Cause I just want to grab this little kid. Like, hey, get off my kid.
Well, you know, there's that quote from Fight Club where he talks about, you know, when you get into a fight and you realize you're not made of glass, like that's
Yeah.
the best feeling. Like, you know that you're not going to break if you get punched. You know what I mean? I think it is good to let your kid get in a competition setting like that, or like, you know, a training setting
Yeah.
like that.
I just got to get through that of like,
Right.
she's not having a good time right now.
Right.
And I just got to be like,
Especially when they, you know, the little kids class, they cry out. There's kids crying every class.
every class.
So it's just like, yeah, you know, when your kid's the one that's crying, like as a parent, you're just like, come here, you know, but you do got to get them just back out there.
That's the obstacle I have to overcome. But I think I'm going to do, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, there's nothing like it. That's definitely different. I thought I'd be able to handle it a lot cooler, but now that it's time's coming close, I'm like, oh boy.
My kid is she started kindergarten this year, and next year we talked about this in the first pod. I think we're going to end up doing like a homeschooling or some sort of a hybrid program. So there's not going to be a lot of child interaction. You know what I mean?
So that is her interaction,
right. And I think that's that's good about it. She's already started to establish these friendships with the kids in class, and she's gone to like birthday parties and stuff like that with other kids from jiu-jitsu. So, you know, those are those friendships too. And I think too, like, okay, if this is something she sticks with, like I see it sometimes in the teen class. You'll see these teenagers, and I'm just like, dude, if you're, you know, the orange belt or the yellow belt, and you're, you know, 13 or whatever, and like your friend is there too, and like nobody's fucking with you at school. You know what I mean? Like,
no, you got it.
They know. I want. There's a guy in my class. One of the guys that I like, his kids in the kids class. This kid goes to Temecula Valley High School or something like that, and the dad was the wrestling coach for Temecula Valley for a long time. So the kid has a wrestling background, but now he's also really involved in jiu-jitsu. I think he's like a gray belt or something like that, but really loves it. And some kid like made the mistake of picking a fight with him, and the kid like tried to get him to back, like, hey dude, I don't want to fight, and the kid kept pushing, and finally like actually shoved him. The kid like shot a double on him, took him down, choked him out, like fucked him up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the dad was like, did everything right. You know what I mean? You try to stop it. He didn't want to stop, and you know that this is what you do this for. So
this is what I mean. You're paying the monthly for it,
right. And I guarantee you that nobody fucks with that kid the rest of the school year. You know what I mean? Like he's gonna be that. It was like the first week of school too. Kid's gonna be a legend.
Yeah, 100% legend.
Yeah,
forever, never again.
You're right.
Of the fight.
So
you want your kid to be 1-0, dude.
Right.
You don't want him to be 0-1, and then have to learn something.
Right.
Right. So get him in early.
Right. Yeah. No, it's smart.
And then every time I'm at a birthday party for my kid, I'm always looking for dads with like jiu-jitsu shirts, right?
There's a kid that was when she was in pre-K. Every time we'd go to like an open house, one of the dads there would always be in like a Checkmate Marietta shirt, and I'm like, I see you.
You just want someone to talk to.
Yeah.
Like and everybody like, oh, what kind of brands do you like? So to me, like you're always looking for that rapport or somebody. That's like I don't know what the equivalent for girls is. Like, oh, I like your Starbucks shiny cup. Is that the equivalent for girls? Like, oh my gosh, that's a cute one.
Maybe shoes.
Yeah, maybe shoes, right? Where'd you get your lashes done?
Yeah.
Something like that. But like guys are like, I was looking for like comp shirts. Like, oh yeah, you train? Oh,
right.
Yeah. And then next thing you know, you're talking like, okay, this party's gonna be a lot better.
Speaking of brands.
What brands?
So like there's jiu-jitsu gi brands, and I feel like there's a hierarchy. You know, there's definitely like the cheaper brand, and then there's the showy rolls,
right?
The A&Ps,
right?
But I feel like there's always been like a lack of like just clothes, like just t-shirts, or you know what I mean, like cool stuff that says like I do jiu-jitsu without looking like it's not your gym shirt, you know. And I that was something that I kind of struggled with for like finding a brand for a while that like that
I think he found his brand, guys.
Yeah.
My man likes Level Black. And I like Level Black. Level Black's good. There was brands of so changed.
Yeah.
Too. Like Bad Boy. When I first started, Bad Boy Gi was my first gi.
So I the first gi I ever bought was a hypnotic gi, and the reason I went with that is they used to make cool rap. Like I'm super into like hip hop, like 90s hip hop,
Right.
And they made like a Biggie. Remember the sweater that he had, like the black sweater with the red and the green in it, and the gold chain. That photo, they made a gi that was like that pattern.
Sick.
And then they had like a Tribe Called Quest looking gi, and then they had De La Soul that said like De La Roll gi, and they had a bunch of like hip hop. I was like, oh, that's dope. So I bought that, and then that company went out of business a couple of years ago. I think they got acquired by like Adidas or something like that, and then they just kind of fell off the map.
Yeah, I mean, for gi wise, for me, like I've never been the guy who's been like flashy gis. I've always been like, what's the best deal? So like, I like Kings a lot. I like Level Black a lot. I've got a bunch of their stuff now. Those are probably the two I mess with the most. Like La Mala Vida, I kind of mess with there. They've sent me a rash guard. I like that a lot. But like, for the most part, Level Black has probably been the gi that I've been wearing the most as of recent because, you know, I have the most of them. But, you know, I always said I wanted to get good enough at jiu-jitsu. I even tweeted this in like 2015. I was like, someday I want to be good at jiu-jitsu where I never have to buy a gi again.
Yeah.
And like, well, maybe that's happened because I've been getting free gis now.
Nice.
So like, but like, there's nothing different. A Fuji gi, a Moya, they're the same.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sometimes the pants, I like a rope string.
Right.
I don't like the shoelace string.
I had a couple gis, one of my Moyas, and then my Hypnotic had, it was like a rope, but it was elastic. So you would tie it, and then it would have a little bit of give, not just, so like if you like bent down, it wasn't just a taut string, it would actually have a little bit of stretch to it.
Yeah, being burrito big, I'm not genetically big. I have a problem where like I'm an A4 gi top, but I'm an A3 pants.
Okay.
So like, and they don't sell them that way. I wish a company would come and be like, "Can I get
Origin.
the A4?" They'll yeah, but Origin, I don't have to sell a
$500
kidney to get it in. Come on, Jocko. Like I get it's American made, but holy crap, man. Can I get like one gi the pants and then can I mix match?
They sell women's bathing suits like that.
I know.
Gi companies, come on, let us buy them
man.
separate.
Big titty girls fucking can get bikinis, but we can't get gis over here. Big titty dudes can't get fucking proper gis. You know what I mean?
I need proper upper support.
Dude.
I think my go-to gi brands would be somebody turned me on to Hyperfly this last year.
Hyperfly's cool.
And I've got probably 4 Hyperfly gis, and I like them because I'm A2 height, but I'm like A3 chest. So they make an A3S.
Where's the gi tailor at?
Right. So I tried to take some gis and shorten the sleeves on them myself with a sewing machine. Don't do that. Don't do that. No, because I cut like 1.5 inches off the sleeve, and then it just the opening was way too.
And
big.
now you look like Ken from Street Fighter.
100%. So those gis are now retired. Yeah, that was an absolute waste of money.
Dude, I just love the way the sport's going right now. There's so many cool stuff you can buy. Like, but hey, PSA, if you're wearing okay, Hyperfly does this. Hyperfly has wild, crazy color gis.
Yeah.
If you're wearing one of those gis to I'm not saying you won't be able to compete in them most likely because it's not complicated.
You're talking about like the Dragon Ball.
Yeah, if you're taking like a red gi or a yellow gi or a Dragon Ball Z gi, and you're training, and everybody's watching your roll, dude.
The eyes are on you.
Like, hey, man, you better come proper because you're gonna get people's, people are gonna be staring at you. So
yeah,
if you're gonna put the target on your back, just realize there's a target on your back.
Be good. Yeah. Be good enough to.
So, all right, guys, episode 3, BJJ Balance podcast. We'll be dropping the podcast soon. Thanks for all the support. Like, subscribe, follow BJJ Balance on Instagram, and then obviously Spotify and all that stuff will come here shortly. So yeah, follow us on Instagram, BJJ Balance, at BJJ Balance, right?
At BJJ Balance, yes.
So, all right, guys, catch you around.
Peace.